Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. This is 𝗘𝗲𝗃𝘁𝗁. I'm the director of EMEA region at Alex Solutions. I'm pleased to co-host this demo with my colleague Zeynep, who is one of our data and AI consultants in the region. We'll start the session with some housekeeping reminders. This webinar will be recorded in case you need to drop out. If you have any questions along the way, please drop them into the chat and we'll get back to you there. All right, let's go. In the last few years, we've seen an explosion of AI-driven innovation, but that speed has created a new massive challenge, shadow AI. Innovation is happening unseen, ungoverned, and it's growing daily. As leaders in compliance, transformation, and innovation, you are constantly fighting a tension between the speed of innovation and the absolute necessity of governance. This friction slows progress and exposes your organization to significant risk, from compliance failures to data leaks. The solution isn't to slow down. It is to embed governance directly into your AI and data workflows. You must transform governance from a blocker into a strategic enabler. Over the next hour, we'll show you how Alex, our unified data intelligence platform, solved this by making governance intelligent, automated, and integral to the entire process. By the end of this webinar, you'll learn 3 essential strategies. First, how to de-risk AI with total visibility. We'll show you how to establish a single source of truth for all AI activity, providing end-to-end policy-aware lineage that keeps you perpetually ready for regulatory audits. Second, how to innovate more with compliant AI. We will see how we embed automated governance guardrails into the AI lifecycle to eliminate bottlenecks and empower your teams to deploy secure, trusted models with greater speed. And finally, how to build a future-proof AI foundation. We will learn how our dynamic metadata layer creates an agile foundation that scales with your business and instantly adapts to new technologies and evolving regulations. Now, let's start with our first key takeaway. De-risk AI with total visibility. Zeynep, how does Alex help leaders achieve this total visibility and get ahead of those unseen risks?
That's the core challenge, 𝗘𝗃𝗃𝘁𝗁. We solve it by turning metadata from a static inventory into a living governance network. Our AI-powered fabric automatically inventorizes and curates all assets, linking policies, roles, and rules to the data. This foundation instantly gives us the policy-aware lineage required to spot compliance gaps and be perpetually ready for audit.
That's the essence of the active metadata fabric, isn't it? So, Zeynep, can you show us how to formalize a new AI initiative in Alex and use this living network to enforce compliance from the first click?
Our data scientist begins by exploring a brute AI agent and use cases that align with organizational objectives and risk tolerance. And rather than starting from scratch, they leverage Alex's governed marketplace of pre-approved experimental frameworks. And here, Alex's marketplace shows all organizationally approved experimental frameworks. And each use case is a governed container with predefined risk parameters, policy constraints, and success criteria. As a data scientist, I can register my experimental AI agent within the governed use case framework. Here is one of our experimental agents, Customer Engagement Optimization Agent. In Alex, even experimental agents are treated as first-class governed assets. Before any development begins, we establish its governance baseline. And currently, this agent exists, but it is not formally governed. To enable compliant experimentation, I need to associate it to our approved use case framework. So think of it as giving our agent a clear set of rules and formal identity within our systems. And the key to making this happen is the Alex Copilot. Now, this automation allows us to query our metadata and get real-time answers to our governance questions in plain English. No more static spreadsheets or manual searches. With the Alex Copilot, we are making governance a living part of our workflow, so we can make smarter decisions about our data every single day. Now, I'll ask, here I have a prompt for my Copilot. What is the relevant approved AI use case for the customer engagement optimization agent to enable compliant experimentation? Now, our Copilot went through the entire catalog and found the perfect for our agent, the customer segmentation analytics use case. It is the one with the experimentation ready stamp, and actually it's a fantastic fit for what our agent does, from predicting churn to personalizing customer journeys. Now, let's view this use case. Customer segmentation analytics. Now, it leveraged AI models to segment customer bases for targeted marketing, personalized experiences, and strategic insights. Now, you can see the scope is limited to EU region with cross-border restrictions, and it's governed and endorsed by the AI risk and compliance team with a gold AI governance rating and a major risk rating. And performance is measured through some key metrics like churn reduction, revenue uplift, and segmentation stability. So this asset provides a compliant and well-governed AI use case that enables smarter customer strategies across the EU region. Now, if I scroll down, I can see the assets directly associated to this AI use case. And here, it's already linked to our AI model bias mitigation policy. So this means any experimental work automatically inherits these governance constraints. All right, now I'm going to link this AI agent to our use case. And to link this use case, I'll use my Copilot again, saying link this use case with my agent. By linking the agent to this use case, now the agent inherits the use case's policy constraints, success criteria, and compliance requirements automatically. And if I navigate back to this use case and refresh my page, it is successfully linked to our AI agent. So this creates transparency for both the development team and governance stakeholders about what constraints apply and why. Now, let's look at the lineage to see how this use case connects to its agent and other underlying models. That our customer engagement optimization agent is formally connected to the approved customer segmentation analytics use case. So this link is critical because it provides the agent is aligned with our governance policies from the start, and it is giving us the green light for compliant experimentation. Okay, now let's switch our view to represent an aggregation by the deployment region. So this allows us to see our assets based on where they are deployed and where their data resides, which is critical for compliance. And here I also see United States. So immediately, this geographic view reveals a critical compliance issue. If I switch to type of assets, now we can clearly see our customer segmentation analytics use case, which has a geographic scope of EU only, is feeding data to an analytics model deployed in United States. So this is not a finding from a manual audit. This is our platform's policy-aware lineage. And by understanding this metadata, the system automatically enforces our data residency policies in real time.
This is really crucial. You are not just mapping a technical flow, you are visually enforcing the business rules. By switching the view to deployment region, we can easily see the immediate impact of a compliance risk.
Exactly. Governance gaps in one agent can cascade into broader enterprise risks. And this is a visual alert that stops a compliance breach before it happens.
In fact, this visual alert is a game changer. It can proactively stop a GDPR violation before it's too late. Zeynep, how do leaders translate this granular preventative insight into strategic audit-ready oversight provided by the ERA dashboard?
This is where the ERA Governance Center comes in. Now, while we just saw the individual asset view, this dashboard provides a strategic top-down view of our entire AI program, and we can see the key metrics that show the health of our program at a glance. So the percentage of assets ready for AI, our average completeness score, and the availability of AI models and the use case. So we also have a clear breakdown of our AI readiness status and the linkage status for our data sources and the use cases. So this dashboard is our single source of truth for audit readiness.
That's great. Thanks, Zeynep. And this now brings us to our second topic, innovate more with compliant AI. Governance shouldn't be a late-stage roadblock. It should be an automated guardrail. Zeynep, how does Alex help to change this?
Alex shifts governance from being reactive to proactive by building automated governance guardrails directly into the AI lifecycle. And this empowers teams to experiment and innovate safely because every iteration happens within pre-approved frameworks. It's governance by design, not by afterthought.
You are absolutely right. Traditional governance is almost like a checkpoint that acts as a roadblock. Alex turns it into an automated guardrail from the start. Can you show us how a data scientist or a steward can instantly check if their data is truly AI ready?
That's where Alex's active metadata fabric comes in. So instead of waiting for issues to surface during audits, the fabric is constantly scanning operational systems, flagging risks, and prompting action in real time. In our scenario today, I'm going to show you how a data scientist can use Alex's AI Copilot to validate data for a new customer segmentation project, and in doing so, avoid a critical compliance misstep. Now, today, I'd like to use this dim customer table for my analytics use case, since I know this table contains some of our most critical customer information, which is essential for this kind of analysis. Now, I'll use my Copilot and it has my prompt here. Now I'll check the fitness of this table and its columns against the relevant policies linked to the use case, along with their associated business rules. Let me check the answer first. Here. Okay, now it is showing the summary of the assessment and the high-level risk rating. Now, the assessment highlights critical data quality concerns. Here, we see errors flagged directly in the table with a poor overall quality score. So this means before we use it for segmentation, we'll need to resolve the data errors. And the assessment also emphasizes privacy and compliance risks here. So several PII columns have been detected and Alex automatically maps them to the right policies. So that gives us clear next steps like anonymization, masking, or applying some privacy preserving techniques. So we can still use the data while staying compliant. And here also it is showing some compliance alignment checks. And you can see it has mapped this table against the active governance policies linked to our use case. So this doesn't just block usage, it spells out exactly what actions are needed, like audit trails or data minimization to make the data asset safe and policy compliant. So this assessment gives a holistic view across multiple dimensions like the quality, sensitivity, compliance, and the privacy. And even if one area needs attention, the platform clearly shows us what actions are required before this asset is production ready, right? So Alex gives us immediate clarity on both the strengths and the risks of using this table, basically.
I want to repeat this. So what we are saying is that Alex can intelligently prevent the use of non-compliant data by applying AI governance guardrails that are specifically defined for each use case. Wow. Can we also use Alex Copilot to get alternative AI-ready asset recommendations?
Of course, we can do that. So I'll ask for some suggestions here for a pre-approved, maybe AI-ready alternatives for my customer segmentation use case. Now, Copilot gave a valuable and compliant customer data source already classified as AI-ready. So the platform doesn't just prevent a misstep, it accelerates the project by guiding the scientists directly to a trusted data source here. Now let's view this team customer table. Now the scientists can proceed with confidence knowing their experiment is built on a foundation of a compliant, fair, and responsible data. Now let me view its lineage to understand its full journey here. With DLX view, I can see where this table came from, how it was transformed, and if there are any downstream impacts here. Now, as a data scientist, I have complete trust in the data's origin and integrity before I use it for my models.
That's a clear example of how Alex can empower teams to be compliant from the start by keeping an inventory of trusted AI-ready data. Now, can we see how this proactive enforcement helps build that long-term foundation?
Well, once a model is being built, the platform automatically tracks and validates every iteration against our policy framework. So it's a continuous and automated process. So we can monitor all of this in real time on our AI governance dashboard. Here, we are not just validating this data, we are also continuously monitoring the model itself. As you can see on this dashboard, we get a comprehensive view of our AI jobs governance status. Here, take our customer segmentation analytics model, for example. We can see its linked use case and that it's linked to an Alex approved data source. So this is our system automatically validating that the model is built on a trusted foundation, and also gives our governance team and data scientists a single source to make sure that models remain compliant and ready for production, from experiment to deployment.
Awesome. We've seen how to innovate with compliant AI with this. Now, I think this all hinges on one more critical challenge. How do you operationalize governance at scale? The reality of most organizations is that data policies are a mess, siloed, inconsistent, and often impossible to enforce. Our final takeaway is about solving that problem by moving beyond static documents to a unified, automated, and feature-proof AI foundation. Can you show us how Alex's centralized repository creates this active, queryable policy fabric?
Exactly. And to address this, let's see how Alex enables the enterprise to set centrally coordinated rules and standards through operationalized policy management. And at the end of the day, our decision rights, accountability frameworks, and policy workflows are all aligned with both business and regulatory requirements. So let's start with a real-time scenario. Here, I've just been notified of a compliance issue. Here, one of our critical assets we previously identified and consumed. Now here, let me jump to the workflow. It's a risk assessment workflow that has already started. And here, we can see the automated analysis from our AI bot. Now the system has identified a critical bias risk because the column directly violates our policy framework, and it has also flagged a PII exposure on sensitive fields, which breaches our AI data anonymization policy. And the bot even provides the mandatory next steps right here. So we immediately know what actions to take to stay compliant, saving time for both developers and governance teams.
And can we have a holistic view and unified view of the organization's policies with clear segments and hierarchies? This is especially required when onboarding a new team member and maybe an audit comes in.
Okay, then let's navigate to our Alex's business glossary. Now here, our governance policies are more than just static documents. They are a centralized, machine-readable repository that forms an active, queryable policy fabric for the entire enterprise. And here, let's take one example, AI model bias mitigation policy. So this example shows how policies in Alex are structured and actionable. And instead of just being reference text, they can be linked to directly to enforcement systems, embedded in workflows, and centrally updated as regulations evolve. Here, the policy clearly states some business rules like prohibiting certain demographic fields and establish here measurable compliance requirements. With Alex, policies are not just written rules, they become living controls that guide decisions and enforce compliance in real time. Okay, what's more here? So you can also see how this policy is already linked to the specific AI use cases, creating an active governance network. When a new AI initiative begins, teams can immediately understand which policies apply and what compliance requirements they must meet here.
This is really the essence of a feature-proof foundation, isn't it? Policies that are living code, not static documents. But what about creating them? How can let's say, governance board member build new policies that align with their business needs, especially if they aren't deeply technical?
That's a great question, Özge. So Alex makes governance accessible to everyone. So policy setting doesn't have to require technical expertise. And now let me show you how governance board members can create and manage policies conversationally through our AI-powered Copilot. Now here, let me use this prompt finally, and we know the student customer table is not recommended for our segmentation analytics due to PII concerns. Now, I am asking for a new policy, new governance policy that could potentially ensure my sensitive customer assets. So after this creation, my sensitive customer assets will be compliant for use in my customer segmentation analytics. Alex has instantly drafted a new policy based on our request and made it available in our data catalog. Let me view this policy. Now here you can see the name, scope, and some key properties for protecting this PII, and it's ready for review right here in the catalog just in seconds. Now we will put this policy into action by starting a workflow here. AI-assisted policy onboarding workflow. And let me show you the steps. Here, you can see this is not just a simple task. It's a fully auditable process, and the workflow automates the entire governance lifecycle from the initial policy proposal to stakeholder review and the final approval. And once approved, this policy will be automatically implemented. Now, let me assign necessary members. Data steward 𝗘𝗃𝘀𝘁𝗃, and 𝗘𝗃𝘀𝘁 is another steward within the platform, and for the AI agent part, my agent is 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝘃𝘁𝗃. Now, workflow initiated. The policy is currently in motion, progressing through all the steps. Now, in the discussions, the creator board made an assessment and linked all the relevant governance policies. You can see the policies, business rules, and even use cases linked to this new PII governance policy. I can now review this newly created policy and linked more assets. And once I'm satisfied that the policy is comprehensive and sufficient, then I can approve it. And by approving this, we are not just creating a document, we are activating an automated enforcement mechanism. So this is how we operationalize governance. Our policies are no longer static, they are live, fully connected, and automatically enforced across the organization.
That's right. We have gone from a simple query to a fully automated, auditable, and approved policy in minutes, not weeks. We've also seen how human-in-the-loop strategy is applied through the workflows to make sure the stewards are confident in AI-powered enrichments. Zeynep, to close the loop, how does an ERA dashboard provide the executive oversight needed to prove this foundation is working at scale and is ready for the next audit?
That's the next critical step. Now that we have measured the efficiency of the policy creation process, we can zoom out to measure its outcome. Now let's navigate to ERA Data Security Controls dashboard. Here, we can instantly check our policy linkage accuracy to ensure policies are correctly connected to our data. And we can see the number of assets with the compliance issues and track them by the application. So this dashboard allows our governance team to proactively identify and address risks. So moving from a reactive audit-based approach to a proactive real-time control center.
That's great. Thank you, Zeynep, for this incredible demonstration. I think everyone now can see how Alex transforms AI governance from a compliance burden into a strategic advantage and innovation enabler. To recap, we've shown you how to de-risk AI with total visibility through a unified data catalog and end-to-end policy-aware lineage that keeps you audit ready. And then how to innovate more with compliant AI by embedding automated guardrails into the experimental lifecycle using conversational interfaces and direct policy execution to eliminate bottlenecks. And then we've also shown you how to build a feature-proof AI foundation with an active metadata fabric that scales with your business and adapts to new regulations through intelligent automation and policy harmonization. Right. Finally, with Alex, responsible AI scales not by slowing down innovation, but by making governance intelligent, automated, and integral to the entire process. Thank you all for your time today. We will now open it up for questions.